Shinpei has a dream of childhood friend Ushio telling him to protect her sister Mio. As he awakens on the ferry, he accidentally bumps into a woman's breasts. Shinpei is traveling home to Hitogashima Island for Ushio's funeral. Su, another friend, reveals Ushio drowned saving a young girl named Shiori. That night Mio is seen outside, staring vacantly until a relative named Tetsu, Hitogashima's only police officer, comes along. Su tells Shinpei that marks on Ushio's neck suggest she was strangled, and yet witnesses saw her drown. Mio gives Shinpei Ushio's seashell necklace. Tetsu reveals Shiori and her family have gone missing overnight. Mio reveals a week before Ushio's death, Shiori claimed to have seen a clone of herself. Nezu, the island's hunter, calls this shadow sickness, a disease that causes a person's shadow to come alive before killing them and their relatives. Mio claims before Ushio died they had both seen a shadow of Ushio. As the disease could supposedly be cleansed at Hito Shrine, they head there only to see a shadow resembling Shiori. Hearing a gunshot, they find the woman from the ferry bleeding. She attempts to speak but is shot again by a shadow of Mio, who shoots Mio and Shinpei, killing them both. Shinpei suddenly awakens back on the ferry, falling into the woman's breasts again. Shinpei convinces himself it was a nightmare. However, upon arriving at the island, he finds the day plays out exactly like before and notices the sound of a camera at Ushio's funeral. This time Shinpei is present when Mio stares vacantly at the house, and when Tetsu arrives he sees her murder Tetsu, causing him to realize she is Shadow Mio, and she replaces Tetsu's corpse with a Shadow Tetsu. The sound of the camera is actually the shadows disintegrating their victim's body into dust. Shinpei is found and stabbed by Mio. As he dies, Ushio's spirit again tells him to save Mio. He awakens again, this time having already gotten off the ferry onto the island's dock. With a clearer memory this time, he is able to stop Mio from falling off the dock due to the brakes on her bike being tampered with. The ferry woman is shown observing the events on the island and sending a report to someone unknown. Shinpei lodges a fake police report to keep Tetsu away that night and leaves his phone hidden to record Shadow Mio staring vacantly. He also notices one of his eyes has changed color. He shows the recording to Mio as proof shadow sickness is real and her shadow intends to kill her. Mio realizes Ushio must have been murdered by Shadow Ushio. Mio decides they should save Shiori. At Shiori's home, Shinpei finds dust piles proving Shiori's parents were killed after the funeral, and that Shiori who attended the funeral was Shadow Shiori, suggesting Shiori had been killed before Shinpei arrived on the island. He attempts to trace the woman from the ferry but is unsuccessful. Tetsu, having been away on Shinpei's fake police report, isn't killed, and so Shiori's disappearance is investigated properly and a detective is invited from the mainland. He also gives Shinpei Ushio's phone, which she had given to Tetsu the day before she died, insisting Shinpei would know why. Needing more help, Shinpei tells Su everything, and Su suggests if shadows can be photographed they have physical bodies and can be killed. Mio suggests asking Priest Hiruko at the shrine, but Shinpei delays this until tomorrow since it was at the shrine where Shadow Mio killed them. Like the previous day, Mio gives Shinpei Ushio's necklace again. The next day the island holds its annual festival. Shinpei realizes Su has a crush on Mio, and after a silly confrontation Shinpei only admits to liking Mio as a sister, which seems to disappoint her. Shinpei sees what appears to be Ushio's ghost and chases her to the beach where she watches the fireworks. Ushio is convinced she is alive again and can remember that she died, wanting to tell Shinpei she loved him. Shinpei suspects she is a shadow that actually believes she is Ushio. Ushio insists on seeing her friends and family, but Shinpei angrily refuses. Mio calls Shinpei's phone, which Ushio answers before he can stop her, forcing him to lie to Mio. Forcing Ushio to stay hidden, Shinpei meets Mio at the shrine where Su suddenly confesses his love to Mio, though Mio rejects him. Ushio reveals herself and is devastated when Mio believes she is a shadow and calls her a monster. Shinpei suddenly reveals he is actually Shadow Shinpei, scolds Ushio for drawing unwanted attention, and then breaks her wrist. 10 minutes previously Shinpei had found Shadow Mio with a Shadow Shinpei, who had copied his memories while at Shiori's house. He copies Shinpei's latest memories and realizes that Shinpei has been looping back in time, so he stops Mio from killing him to prevent this and goes to meet Ushio at the shrine, claiming she really is Shadow Ushio who for some reason has betrayed her fellow shadows. Mio begins torturing Shinpei, revealing their ultimate plan is to resurrect their sleeping mother. Shinpei is suddenly saved by the woman from the ferry, who shoots Shadow Mio in the head. Shadow Mio disappears and the woman introduces herself as Nagumo Ryunosuke, who is there to save him. She reveals how to tell shadows apart from humans, since their true form is the shadow flat on the ground and not the fake body above it. Shinpei rushes to the shrine and finds everyone killed by a giant shadow. Giant Shadow identifies Shinpei's eye as the eye of their mother, which controls time. Shadow Ushio still insists she is human and rejects her fellow shadows. Mio is disintegrated. Giant Shadow absorbs the other shadows and disintegrates all the dead humans, sending out a massive shadow in every direction that disintegrates every human on the island. A red light appears over the shrine as Mother awakens, a young girl Nagumo recognizes as someone called Hain. With everyone dead, Shinpei pleads for Nagumo to kill him so he can start over. Giant Shadow tries to stop them, but he is stopped by Shadow Ushio, allowing Nagumo to shoot Shinpei in the head, declaring next time she will definitely save him. As he flies back in time, Ushio once again tells him to save Mio. Arriving back on his first day, he realizes the distance he can travel back is slowly shrinking as he now appears not on the ferry or even the docks, but almost arriving at Mio's house. With 3 days until Mother's resurrection, he is determined to do it right this time. On this rewind, it is revealed Nagumo reached the island already aware of the shadow's presence. The island priest, Karikiri Masahito, greets her at the funeral as Minakata Hizuru, revealing she grew up on the island. Shinpei, determined to do things right, uses Nagumo's trick for detecting shadows and realizes at the funeral that Shiori and both her parents were already shadows. Shinpei receives Nagumo's phone number in a code from Ushio's father Alan and solves it, but Nagumo had given her phone to her contact on the island, Nezu Jinjiru, who answers the phone. To test if Shinpei is human, Nezu shoots Shinpei's shadow, proving he is human. Meanwhile, Nagumo does the same on Alan in the bathroom and in a surprise attack smashes his shadow with a hammer, killing Shadow Alan instantly. Shinpei meets Nezu, who now trusts him and introduces him to Nagumo. Using coded references, Shinpei is able to communicate certain facts to Nagumo so that she instantly knows Shinpei is a time traveler who has met her before in the future and is someone her future self trusted. Shinpei cries as he finally has an ally who knows everything. Nagumo reveals to Shinpei a shadow murdered her family 14 years ago, causing her to leave the island and change her name, later publishing a series of books about the experience. Nezu reveals that if a shadow who is copied someone is killed, that person can never be copied again. Nagumo goes to Shiori's home to kill Shadow Shiori and her shadow parents. Based on her behavior, Shinpei suspects the trauma of losing her family caused Nagumo to develop 2 personalities, one being the sister Hizuru who wrote the books, and the other being her murdered younger brother, Ryunosuke. Nagumo kills the parents while Nezu and Shinpei catch Shiori in a trap. She admits she was the shadow who killed Ushio and that once their plan is complete, her and her family can go home, so Nagumo kills her. Nagumo confirms she has 2 personalities. She is Hizuru most of the time, but Ryunosuke comes out when she cannot cope or when she's in a fight. Nagumo is their joint fake name and they communicate by recording messages on a tape recorder. Shinpei returns home and finds Mio cooking, which she never does, causing Shinpei to realize his actions have somehow changed events. As he sends her out of the room, trying to return events to normal, Shadow Ushio suddenly appears. Surprised, Shinpei notes that Shadow Ushio appeared much earlier than normal. She remembers the previous loop and wants to prevent all the deaths from Mother's resurrection. She hides from Mio in his room. As she eats, he pokes her shadow, which she feels, confirming she is a shadow. He prepares to destroy her, but cannot bring himself to do it. She accidentally makes her clothes disappear, forcing her to wear his spare clothes, and finds that she cannot retreat into her shadow like the other shadows. Shadow Mio suddenly enters and attacks, but Ushio shields Shinpei. Shadow Mio stabs her shadow to injure her arm and demands to know why she betrayed them, and Ushio says because she loves Shinpei. Nezu shoots Shadow Mio with a sniper rifle, allowing Shinpei to stab her shadow and destroy her. Nagumo enters and after assuring that Mio is safe, tries to destroy Ushio, but Shinpei pleads for her life. Nagumo suddenly recognizes Ushio's voice as the one that brought her to the island. They try to treat her arm, but it disappears. Nagumo replays a voicemail where Ushio's voice warns her about the shadows and tells her to trust Shinpei, but Ushio doesn't remember that or recognize her. Nagumo and Nezu spare her, but warn that if she steps out of line, they will kill her. The next day, Shinpei and Ushio reveal her presence to Sue, who freaks out for a bit. They give Ushio her phone and she unlocks it to find a video recorded on the day she died. The video shows Ushio and Shadow Ushio as friends. Ushio was aware she would probably die soon and wanted Shinpei to know Shadow Ushio is not evil. She explains the first shadow was Shiori's, with Shadow Ushio appearing soon after. They track Shadow Shiori to the island's old abandoned clinic once run by Sue's father Sito. There another shadow attempted to copy Ushio and attacked Shadow Ushio, injuring her by hitting her shadow and proving she was the copy. They killed the new shadow, then recorded the video for Shinpei, which he could only watch if Shadow Ushio used her fingerprint to unlock the phone. Saddened by the video, Shadow Ushio shows them what happened next from a recording of her memories. On the day Ushio drowned, they had been trying to keep Shiori safe from Shadow Shiori. Unfortunately, they failed. Shiori was killed and replaced by Shadow Shiori, who then drowned Ushio, and Shadow Ushio swore to help Shinpei save everyone before the 24th when Mother returns. Suddenly, Shadow Ushio realizes her memories have been hijacked as the memory of Shadow Shiori comes alive and attacks Shinpei before morphing into Mother, who swears Shinpei won't escape again. Shadow Ushio ends the recording, but when they awaken, Shinpei has a hand-shaped bruise where Mother grabbed him, proving it really happened. Shinpei announces they need to head back to the old clinic. A police officer named Miura approaches Mio and her friend Tokiko to ask about Shiori's family. At the clinic, Sue finds old bottles of mercuric chloride, a toxic medicine. He also discovers a wooden statue of Ebisu, god of fishermen, but as this statue is female, Shinpei realizes it actually depicts Ebisu when he was born as a leech-like creature believed to be both male and female. They locate a secret door but no key. Shinpei realizes the statue depicts Hiruko as pregnant, causing Shadow Ushio to discover the key inside the stomach. Inside they find a tunnel shadows could be using to move around unseen. They find a shadow with the body of a deformed baby and manage to kill it when it attacks. Shadow Ushio starts bleeding and realizes the injury given to her by Shadow Mio wasn't actually healed, just temporarily hidden, meaning her shadow body is still badly injured. They hear a sudden gunshot and follow the noise from the tunnel into a natural cave. Shadow Ushio panics as they realize the cave is filled with hundreds of shadow babies who quickly surround them.